Buy low videos in Dynasty Fantasy Football. I feel like those are some of the most scrutinized videos that I do on this channel. And it's really understandable why it is. Number one, I think it's the most fun thing to do, especially during the slow offseason parts. And number two, there's really no set value for any particular player. You could go in your league and find someone values X player way more than another league that you're in, and vice versa. So it's like values are always subjective depending on who's got who and who's a fan of who. It's all subjective, and that makes buy low videos so fun in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Well, obviously, free agency has happened, the draft is coming up, movement is going to happen. So I've identified 3 buy low players in Dynasty Fantasy Football that we need to go target today. And of course, this is a new channel exclusively for Dynasty, so please go down there, drop a like on this video, and subscribe to the channel to show your support if you get value from this video today. So the first guy on this list right here, there's no big change as far as his personal value. There's been some changes about who's also in the room as well with him. I'm talking about Christian Kirk of the Jacksonville Jaguars here. So when I look at Christian Kirk, and obviously what he did on the screen, you could see on a per game basis of what he was doing last year. So really when I'm looking at Christian Kirk right now, last year was difficult because he missed 5 games, right? He got injured in week 12, in week 13, and then he missed the last remaining of the season because of a core injury. So Christian Kirk had a shortened season, and on a per game basis, it just wasn't that impressive. And a lot of it did have to do with the touchdown regression that was negative that happened to him last year. So Christian Kirk, he finishes the wide receiver 47 at half PPR. He averaged 10.2 fantasy points per game, and I think a lot of it just really has to do with the fact that Trevor Lawrence was simply just not at his best last year. He regressed in a big way. And I think a lot of us were just expecting this really major leap from Trevor Lawrence, and it just didn't come. It was a total negative regression, a bad year for him, and he's been called out by Doug Peterson. The offense has also made some changes this offseason. No more Calvin Ridley in the building means that they're not going to mess around with another wide receiver trying to get him 10 targets a game like they were trying to do earlier on with Calvin Ridley. Christian Kirk is their main target guy. He's still under a big contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we look at the offseason additions that they've made. They obviously still have Zay Jones, right? Zay Jones is coming back. Evan Ingram is coming back. Well, the big one that they made was that they ended up getting Gabe Davis for 3 years, $40 million basically. And we look at Gabe Davis, on a yearly basis, and Gabe Davis just isn't, he's not going to be a 10 target a game type of guy. So what he is very similar to Zay Jones, where he's going to have big games where he gets 8 targets and he gets 5 catches for 2 touchdowns. That's the type of player that they invested in with Gabe Davis. So Christian Kirk is still their target guy outside of Evan Ingram at the tight end position. So all we need, really, for this to pay off is for Trevor Lawrence to improve off of what he did last year. That's really what we're looking at here. And I'm not saying that Jacksonville won't get another player, right? It's not like they're totally out of the question to draft a receiver in the first 3 rounds, basically, right? It's a very deep wide receiver class, and they have a need at the position if they want to get a good upgrade, right? Really what I'm looking at here is the value that I've seen for Christian Kirk is very, very low. Christian Kirk is the type of player right now that is going for a late second rounder in the leagues that I play in, which to me is very worth it. Because listen, let's go through the draft board right now. The draft board on Sleeper right now, you've got a lot of guys like Jonathan Brooks in that late second round, Trey Benson in the late second round. We've got, Jaden Daniels going in the late second round. And of course, we're in March, so we're not saying that this is set in stone, but Christian Kirk, if he's healthy, is the wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville as of right now, with the quarterback who is still very good coming off a down season. I think Jacksonville players in general, there's an argument to be made that there's some buy low guys with him and Trevor Lawrence both. So if it's up to me and I'm sending a late second rounder, early third rounder for Christian Kirk, I would absolutely do that trade. Now, if you go to them and they try to get you to go, well, give me the 204 this year or the 202 this year, then walk away. Walk away because there is better talent, in my opinion, at the wide receiver position in particular. So don't break your back trying to get this guy. This is a buy low video And that means that you only buy him at a lower price, which in my opinion, a good price for him at a buy low is a late second rounder, 208 and beyond, and anything that's like in the third round as well. The next guy up here on this list is someone that it's going to be funny to talk about this because it's not like this guy is like coming off a bad season. He's coming off a very good rookie season and very much a big upside type of player. I'm talking about Jordan Addison of the Minnesota Vikings right now. So again, not a bad season he's coming off of. You know, he's dealing with the arguably the best wide receiver in the game, so he'll never face double coverage. So it's like if they can get a quarterback, how do you buy this guy low? There's two facets to this. So the first one, in my opinion, is this is a situation where it's a win-win. With Jordan Addison, you can see on the screen what he did last year. Jordan Addison had a very good rookie year and really, in my opinion, was the best rookie wide receiver out of all of them. I'd take him over Zay Flowers. I like Jack Smith-Jigba more still personally, but obviously last year, Jordan Addison was the better player. He was the wide receiver 21 at 11 fantasy points per game at half PPR. Now, they don't have a quarterback right now. They're coming into the season as of today with no quarterback upgrade and Sam Darnold as the quarterback one. Who thinks that that's going to be the situation? I'd say very few of us think that. I think it's very unlikely that Minnesota does not make a quarterback upgrade at some point in the offseason. And from everything I'm reading, it looks like they're making a big push to go in the top 5 to get a guy like J.J. McCarthy. Minnesota's going to be aggressive getting another quarterback. So if someone who owns Jordan Addison in your league is like, well, kind of worried, you know, Sam Darnold this year, I don't know how it's going to work. It's like, buy him just based on that alone. If you could get him for an early second or a late first, right? That's the way I look at this. Now, the second part of this is, I may be the only one who thinks this in the room. I haven't tested this out with other people, but I do believe that there's merit to this. Who agrees that this Justin Jefferson situation is getting a little bit weird? Justin Jefferson is coming into, like, he's in this point of this offseason where obviously he's a tremendous wide receiver in this league, a tremendous fantasy football wide receiver. And if he's with Jordan Addison, he's hogging up all the double coverage. So you're never going to see Jordan Addison getting double covered because they've got Justin Jefferson to worry about more. Who thinks this situation is getting weird though? Not only have they not signed him yet and extended him and given him a big contract, which he obviously deserves, but there's plenty of talk around trade. New England Patriots have come up. The Pittsburgh Steelers have come up. The Cincinnati Bengals have come up. Justin Jefferson, I don't believe, is a lock to be a Viking this year. Now, I still do believe that when you have a talent like Justin Jefferson, you just sign him. Like, I believe that they're just in that process right now where they're just basically saying, we're just negotiating, right? Like, we're figuring out how to best negotiate with Justin Jefferson. We will sign him at some point. That's what I believe is going to take place over the next couple of months here. I don't think they're trading Justin Jefferson. But I will say the situation has gotten a little bit weird. Which, again, this is a win-win. Because let's play out two situations right here. If Justin Jefferson stays, as I said earlier, all he's doing is he's hogging up coverage from Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison will not see double coverage with Justin Jefferson there. That's just a fact. That's a reality of the NFL. He will not see it, which will leave him open. And if they get a quarterback upgrade, he's going to be able to support a wide receiver too as well in fantasy football. Getting him a top 15 fantasy football wide receiver season, top 12 even, I think is in the cards for him if they get the right quarterback. Now, if Justin Jefferson goes, then Jordan Addison becomes the unquestioned number one. It's not KJ Osborne. TJ Hawkinson's injured right now. Probably will be to start the season. So Jordan Addison, this is a win-win situation. And again, this is not a buy low, like, oh, get him for a late second rounder. Like, nobody's doing that, right? But if you can get Jordan Addison for a late first, just based on some uncertainty and then some instability at the quarterback position, this is a move I would make because I simply just believe that his upside is higher than a guy like Troy Franklin at the back of the first round. A guy like Brian Thomas even. I believe that as well because Jordan Addison is a tremendous fantasy football player, and I've loved him since early in the draft process in 2023. When I originally had him ranked above Quentin Johnston, I got a lot of flack for it. Jordan Addison, to me, if you can get him for a late first rounder, go get him, because he has simply more upside than a Troy Franklin type does, in my personal opinion. Now, the last guy on this list right here, I'm sure if you play Dynasty, you know this name. Not coming off a big season at all. Lots of issues there with the offense. Still trying to figure it out in Denver. But I'll tell you what, Marvin Mims is becoming more and more attractive to me in Dynasty. So let's think back to 1 year ago with Marvin Mims Jr. Marvin Mims was coming out of Oklahoma. He was a freshman year breakout, and he was a very, very good contributor in Oklahoma's offense for the time that he was there. Marvin Mims Jr. was also the first hand-picked selection by Sean Payton. Not only that, though, they traded up to get Jordan. They traded up to get Marvin Mims Jr. They traded up in the second round to go grab this guy. Marvin Mims comes into the season, obviously with Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton there, and it's like, he's not going to be the number one guy. We all understood that very well, right? So it's not like at any point during the season we all had high expectations for him. And I would say he probably just came out how a lot of people thought he would, which was pretty irrelevant, actually. Pretty irrelevant in this offense. So why do we have interest in him? Marvin Mims Jr. is coming into this offseason. Jerry Jeudy now out of the building. They just traded Jerry Jeudy to the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns signed a big extension for him, in my opinion. I mean, it's not like Justin Jefferson big like he'll get, but way bigger than I think that Jerry Jeudy deserved. So Jerry Jeudy's out. Courtland Sutton is in his late 20s now. Who is behind him? It's Marvin Mims. They don't have KJ Hamler anymore. They've got Tim Patrick, but that guy is coming off a string of just brutal, career-ending type of injuries. And don't forget this. This is very important. When Sean Payton first selected Marvin Mims Jr., this was a comp I made back in the day. I see a Brandon Cooks type of player in Sean Payton's system. Brandon Cooks was drafted by the New Orleans Saints when Sean Payton was there. He had some very early success with Sean Payton because Sean Payton is a very good offensive mind. Marvin Mims Jr., similar size, similar speed, similar playing style to Brandon Cooks. And just a couple of weeks ago, with this whole Jerry Jeudy trade, Sean Payton said, it's on me that he didn't have a good rookie year. It's on me that he didn't improve in his rookie year. He will be very much involved in 2024. So if they stick with Courtland Sutton and Marvin Mims has lots of upside because we know what they're doing in the draft. They're going to be aggressive and get a quarterback. We understand that. If they get the right quarterback and it's Marvin Mims, Courtland Sutton, and maybe a second or third round wide receiver that they get, Marvin Mims is going to have a really, really big role in this offense. And I think the beauty about this situation is Marvin Mims is not costing you a second rounder. This is just not the scenario with him. Marvin Mims is going to be a early to mid third round type of player that you can trade for. This is what we're looking at here. Marvin Mims doesn't have Jordan Addison value. He doesn't even have Christian Kirk value, as we talked about earlier. Marvin Mims was already drafted in like the early to mid second round and showed nothing in his rookie season. And it's with a team that doesn't have a quarterback. Marvin Mims is absolutely a buy low guy right now because you don't know it. You don't know if it's going to work out. So send a third rounder or even a late second rounder to go get Marvin Mims, because I'm telling you, things are lining up here. Currently the wide receiver 2 in this offense with Sean Payton, Brandon Cooks type of playing style, and we know that they're going to get a quarterback upgrade. Now let me know what you think of these buy low players in the comments below and what questions you want answered for 2024 Dynasty Fantasy Football.